That's how we make pastry stouts here. It's the beating heart of the brewery, arch enemy number one actually. Some ice cream. We become master of our own extraction by using this vessel. I'm gonna give you a real quick tour. Let's go. This is where it starts. So we have 4 silos. Sometimes you get the question, how do you get enough water in a brewery? You get a big tank as a buffer. So this is the HLT, hot liquor tank and malt silos. So special to the malt silos is that we have Pilsner malt, wheat malt, rye malt, and a mix of flakes in those silos. From the silos, it goes to the mills. And I'm saying mills because we have 2 of them. We have 2 mills. One of them is a hammer mill, and one of them is a 4-roller mill. So all the barley malt goes through the hammer mill, and the flakes and roasted malts go through the roller mill. Why do we do that? We have a Mura filter, so we don't operate a traditional lauter tun. We operate a pressing filter. That means that we can mill the malts very fine, meaning that we get high efficiency on the brewhouse. We get a lot of flavor out of the malts, and our beers get very thick. But why don't we put everything through the hammer mill? We found out the hard way that if you put everything through the hammer mill, you kind of get, with the flakes and the roasted malts, you get like a peanut butter, and it will stop. So it's more of a process thing. We do most of our malt business with another family company, Dingemans, in Stabroek, Belgium. Look at that! A lot of malt, because we make a lot of thick beer here. So if we follow the process, we have just received the malts, we have milled them, and the malts get into the brewery. We are now in the brewery, the brew house. We have a 3-vessel system with a filter, so a 4-vessel system, but the filter isn't really a vessel. So the malt come in from that tube there, and come here. This is the hydrator. So the malts come from the tube, the water comes here, the malts get hydrated, and you start your meshing in process. Meshing in process means that you're gelatinizing starch, turning the starch into fermentable sugars. I always say that Moersleutel beer gets made in 5 points in the process. First process point is the Mura filter, where a traditional brewery uses a lauter tun. We operate a Mura filter. What happens is that instead of gravity pulling down the sugar water out of the mesh, out of the lauter, we press. So there's a huge arm pushing on several membranes here. The filter holds 750 kilos of malt, meaning that for a double mesh stout, we mesh in twice. Goes into the kettle, into the fermenter. We do that at least twice, so 4 meshes for 50 hectoliters or 5,000 liters of beer. So what is the benefit of a Mura filter? The benefit is that you have small membranes, and you can imagine that they are filled with like a cloth. There's a cloth, inside is the malt, and you push on the side, meaning that the wort, which is the sugar water, only needs to go like this far instead of several meters with gravity in a lauter tun. We can be quite flexible with our malt bills. We can use a lot of malt. We can still do it efficiently, which is important for a brewery as well. And we can get a lot of flavor out of the malt because we are actually making powder of it instead of keeping the husks that a traditional lauter tun needs to filter the bed. So this is the first place where a Moersleutel beer gets made. And we're actually next to the second place where the Moersleutel beer gets made. And that's the boil kettle. This holds about 3,000 liters of wort. And it's a direct fire kettle, meaning that there's actually a combustion chamber under the kettle with an open flame, and that flame heats the kettle. And you can actually see what happens then. Because today we brewed Quad, our Belgian quadruple, and tomorrow we're brewing motor oil. You can actually see some burning, some caramelization on the sides. You can actually also see where the hot spots in the kettle are. And those hot spots are very important for the dark beers of Moersleutel. And the question is, do we have a separate system for the pale beers of Moersleutel? No, we really needed to learn how to make pale beers with a kettle and a system like this. It's not that easy, because in the kettle with the hot spots, you get Maillard reaction, caramelization, a lot of flavor developments for the dark beer, for barley wines, for stouts, bock. But for the IPAs, it's not preferred. So we saw that if we do the same boiling length for IPAs as we do for stouts or barley wines, we get a brown IPA. So we boil our IPAs very short. Actually only 15 minutes with the burner on and 15 minutes with the burner off will get enough of the boiling done to proceed in the process. Let me close it for tomorrow morning. So this is the second place Moersleutel beer gets made. This is the Whirlpool. So Whirlpool creates a tea leaf effect because we push it in from here, zoof, it turns around, meaning that when you add hops, mostly hops, when you add hops, the hops will first turn with the wort, and then when it slows down, it will go to the middle and sediment, meaning that you can actually hear there's a huge heat exchanger on the ceiling, so we can from the kettle pre-cool the wort into the Whirlpool, meaning that story that Tim told about less bitterness, more aroma and flavor from the hops. That's this vessel. It's actually a very simple piece of kit because it's just a vessel that has a geometry that encourages the tea leaf effect. Look it up, tea leaf effect. Third place Moersleutel beer gets made is the propagator. We propagate all our yeast in-house, and propagation actually just means growing your yeast. This means that we can use a lot of different yeast in the brewery, and we don't have to use from last fermentation, get the yeast off, put it in a tank. No, we can use fresh yeast every time because we prop it up. So right now we have six different strains in the brewery. One for wit beer, a blonde beer, quadruple we just talked about. Motor oil uses a different yeast. The New England IPAs use a hazy IPA yeast, and we have a Ranch IPA in tank as well, and it uses a lager yeast. So this really becomes the core, one of the core points why there's such a broad complexity to all Moersleutel beers. Everything uses a different yeast. That means different flavor profile, craft. Next, let me point out something real quick. If you look at this tank versus this tank, it's funny that they have different dimensions. So this is a conical CCV, meaning that the cone is like this, and this one is much more flat. So it's a disc bottom. Why? Well, the purpose of the tanks is different. So the FV9, fermentation vessel 9, means that there's active fermentation in the tank. And after fermentation, we want to cold scratch the tank, put it cold, start like a lagering phase, meaning that all the yeast will go to the bottom. So to be able to efficiently get all the yeast out, it's a conus, like your chemistry classes in high school. This tank is a BBT, meaning bright beer tank. So that's where the bright beer, or the beer that's ready to package, is. And this tank is a disc bottom because the purpose of the tank is to get as much beer out of the tank as possible for packaging. So that's why they have a different shape, as a fun fact. So we now had the mesh filter, we had the direct fire kettle, the propagator. The fourth point where flavor is made is in the dry beer tank, but with the help of an addition tank. So for most of our pastry stouts, we use either LMT, meaning little muffin top, or BMT, meaning big muffin top. There's a filter in this tank, and if you come here, this is a membrane pump. So it actually pulls beer from this into the pump on top of the adjuncts, cacao, vanilla, nuts, coconut, tonka. What have we done more? Name another one. Coffee. Push it down into the bottom of the tank. And the nice thing is that we become master of our own extraction by using this vessel, because this vessel keeps the adjuncts contained, and we can keep tasting from the tap here whilst recirculating. So usually we taste every couple hours. How is the flavor? Especially with coffee, it's very important to keep tasting almost every 2 hours to see how the flavor is developing, because you don't want to under extract, because then you extracted too little oils, too little flavor. And you don't want to over extract, because coffee over extraction is a real like green bell pepper flavor. And the filter inside of this little muffin top contains the adjuncts, and we can just stop the flavor extraction by closing one port instead of needing to get the adjuncts out of the big tank. That's how we make pastry stouts here. So in between a fermentation vessel and a dry beer tank, we just discussed the geometrics of the two tanks. There's a centrifuge. So this is an Alva Laval Brew 80, and we centrifuge all our beers to get most of the hops and yeast out. This doesn't mean that the beer is filtered. We just used centrifugal forces, a form of gravity, to pull out most of the solid pieces. We have 3 different packaging lines. A line for kegs, that's this one. This one does both steel kegs, 20 liter, and plastic, the key kegs. For export, which we do 20 and 30 liters. That's this line. We have a canning line, we will look at extensively in a bit. And we have a bottling line. And the bottling line is for indulgence and Christmas specials only. For the size of brewery we have quite a sophisticated line. And I will just quickly show all the machines here. So this is a depalletizer. A depalletizer depalletizes a pallet of empty cans. It goes in here and it gets pushed up one layer at a time and then pushed on the line. One of the fun things to show is that everything at this line is made by our sister company Zomerdijk Engineering, that one, except for 2 pieces of equipment. The CP10, which is a counter pressure filler for cans, and the labeler. There's no labels right now, but tomorrow there will be. These 2 boxes, so the CP10 has 10 cans at a time, 2 times 5, and CP stands for counter pressure, meaning that the can will be purged from oxygen, and then the beer will be dropped in under pressure. Then the pressure from the can will be released in stages, so you can control the amount and the density of foam that you get on top of the beer. That foam is extremely important because it protects the beer from oxygen. Oxygen is the enemy of beer, arch enemy number 1 actually. So the empty cans come in here, get filled with beer, then there's a short moment that the cans are open to the atmosphere, and that's when it's very important to have foam get up from the beer. So the oxygen, there's no oxygen in the empty can because it was purged, then there was beer, but here it's susceptible to oxygen. So the art of the packaging operator here is to get the lid on top of the foam and push out any remaining oxygen. And then it gets seamed here. it will be rinsed with water. And here's the second Zomerdijk engineering machine, which is a check weigher. It weighs the can and it pushes out the can if it is too much or too little. So you can set your own range. A very convenient piece of equipment. There's a buffer here. It goes here into the labeler. And this is the labeler that Pim talked about in the tasting. So this one puts the can in the right position, that the printed can will always be in the same position as the label, that should be exactly in the middle. So it actually has a system that it can turn the cans to match the label. It takes a picture of every can we fill, and it will detect if there are any errors to the positioning of the label. Then the case packer. This is an automatic case packer. Boxes go here. Cans come here. They are labeled at this point. Go in a system that sorts them. Cans get pushed into the box, which is still not folded. Well, partly. It gets folded here. This is a glue gun. Gets folded again. Gets completely folded with a glue gun. And you have a packaged box of beer. Then the newest innovation is a cobalt arm. Puts all the boxes in the right pattern for our distributors. That's the packaging lines, 2 of them. We have a third one, and this one is the special one for the special beers. What do you say, Rowan? Every Moersleutel beer is special. And I would say yes, it is. But these are a little bit more special. These are indulgence and the end of the year gifting bottles, the 75 cls. Italian company. This line is still quite manual, so we try to stack bottling runs on top of each other, so we don't have to drag out everything here to the line every time that we do bottles. Let's take a quick look at the lab. This is where the brewers live. They are not home right now, so let's be silent. And this computer is the beating heart of the brewery, because it actually controls the fermentations, like what temperature it is, but it also controls the brew house here. And the malt silos we saw with the males, they are all controlled via this computer. So these are the silos we just saw. We have 4 of the silos. These are the 2 males we just saw, grist bin, and the loading dock that had the Dingemans sack. So this is a kind of brewery simulator, if you want to say that, if you want to call it that. The brew house we just saw, so the mash tun here, pretty cool, automated, nice. The filter, a lot of numbers, a lot of things. Fermentation vessels with temperatures that it's set to, and when the temperature that it reads on the tank is higher than the temperature it was set to, it will cool the tank a bit. That is important, because if you just let fermentations go, you might get a bit of fusels, which is harsh flavors, alcohols. And we try to get as little as possible of that. And these are all the recipes that we make for the brew house and for the fermentation, so we don't have to put all the parameters in every time by hand, but we have programs for that. Let's go to the lab. Measures alcohol and sugar content, LX 500. We have pH meter, of course, basic. Microscope. And equipment to do count cells, yeast cells, from the propagator we looked at. So we were just in the production brewery, going up to the office. El Cantina. Offices, it's a bit of a mess, I'm so sorry. So we just came out of the office into a different part of the production area, which is the top of the tanks. This is where we do all the dry hopping. So if we look here, this is a dry hop vessel. You can see the hops here. This is a dry hop funnel. It's a bit dirty, but it's okay. It's the outside, as long as the inside is clean. I'm gonna teach you how to do a dry hop. Open the CO2, open line here, open this one. You can take this off whilst there's CO2 going up, you can add your hops, close it, let it off a couple of times to get rid of all the oxygen. Oxygen is arch enemy number one. Let it in, pressurize a couple of times, let it off, and then open the tank. Dry hops go into the tank, and then we rouse from the bottom. Rousing is a process of bubbling CO2 from the bottom, so we also break the islands of solid hops that go on top of the surface of the beer. So that's how we dry hop. So these 4 tanks there are fermenters. This one is a fermenter and this is a fermenter. These 2 are dry beer tanks. And then if you look there, that's the big tanks. So these tanks are 60 hectoliters, approximately. Depends how far you push it. 60, and those are 130 hectoliters of beer, which is 13,000 liters of beer. Let's go there. So this tank also just has been dry hopped. If you look at the floor, this is quite high. It's like 6 meters. And these hold 13,000 liters of beer. Yeah. Then we have some hop freezers here. So you might recognize some of those names here. So Nelson, Mosaic, you've definitely heard. You might have heard Crush, Dolcita, we just had in the tasting. Cascade, Citra, Strata, Motueka. So these are our hop freezers. We keep them like this. We keep several products here. T90, T45, Cryos, Lupomax, CGX. That's where we keep the hops. Here as well. Beautiful. Some ice cream. Because it was very hot in here. Fridge where we keep yeast. So all kinds of yeast. Other types of yeast. A couple beers for tastings. Hop oils we keep cold in the fridge as well to boost aroma and flavor. And then we go to my favorite place in the brewery to do phone calls. Because you can overlook the warehouse. You see the packaged product, the malt silos, a loading dock. That's some hops that just came in. And here's some other storage. But this is a very serene place to do a phone call. Ah, that's in a very short tour. In een vogelvlucht is dat een tour bij Moersleutel. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions to us, let us know in the comments. And enjoy the view. Thank you for watching.